There's no greater contrast between Mats and James Gosselin, the designer of Java. I wanted to listen to James talk about the design of Java. Why was it the way it was? Why was it so rigid? And he was very blunt about it, which, by the way, I really appreciate. And I think Gosselin's done a tremendous job with Java. But his view of humanity is rather dark. His view of humanity was programmers at the average are stupid creatures. They cannot be trusted with sophisticated programming languages because they're going to shoot their foot off or their hand off. And that would be kind of inconvenient to the regional development office of a mid-tier insurance company writing code that has to last for 20 years. Now, it's actually a very Thomas Sowell view of constrained capacity in humans that I've come to appreciate much later in life. But it's also a very depressing view of programmers, that there are just certain programmers who are too dumb to appreciate code poetry. Mm-hmm. They're too ignorant to learn how to write it well. We need to give them a sandbox where they just won't hurt themselves too much. Mats went the complete opposite direction. He believes in humanity. He believes in the unlimited capacity of programmers to learn and become better. So much so that he's willing to put the stranger at his own level. This is the second part I truly appreciate about Ruby. Ruby allows you to extend base classes. You know how we just talked about 5.times is a way to iterate over a statement 5 times? That 5 is obviously a base class. It's a number. Do you know what? You can add your own methods to that. I did extensively. In Rails, we have something called active support, which is essentially my dialect of Ruby for programming web applications. And I'll give you one example. I've added a method called days to the number. So if you do 5.days, you get 5 days in seconds, because seconds is the way we set cache expiration times and other things like that. So you can say cache expires in 5.days.
Damn.
And you're going to get
That's
whatever
nice.
5 times 24 times 60 times 60 is, or whatever the math is, right? Very humanly readable. In a normal programming language, you would type out the seconds, and then you would have a little comment above it saying, this represents 5 days. Mm-hmm. In Ruby, you get to write 5 days. But even better than that, Mats didn't come up with it. Mats didn't need the 5 days. I needed that because I needed to expire caches. I was allowed by Mats to extend his story with my own chapters on equal footing, such that a reader of Ruby could not tell the difference between the code Mats wrote and the code that I wrote. He trusted me as a complete stranger from Denmark who had never met to mess with his beautiful story. That level of trust is essentially unheard of. I know there are other programming languages that allow things with macros and so forth, but none do it in a way like Ruby does it. None does it with an articulated vision of humanity, a trust in humanity, like Mats does. That is the opposite end of the spectrum of Java.
Yeah, I mean, for my aesthetic sensibilities, just the way you describe 5.days, that's really pleasant to me. Like, I could see myself sitting alone, sleep deprived, and just writing that. It's an easy thing. You can write it in a long way with a comment. You can write in multiple lines. You could do, and now with AI, I'm sure it's going to generate it correctly. But there's something really pleasant about the simplicity of that. I'm not sure what that is, but you're right. There is a good feeling there, and I'm sure we'll talk about happiness from all kinds of philosophical angles. But you know, that is what happiness is made of. That little
Exactly.
good
And
feeling there.
it's the good feeling that come out of a concept compressed to its pure essence. There's nothing you can take away from that statement that's superfluous.